both Elves decks made the top 8.
Did I not make it? Is my opponent waiting out there for me?
No. Were you 2-2 or what?
I was 2-2.
Alright guys, so we're back here at the quarterfinals. We see Vinnie fanned his handout for us. Quarterfinals is tonight's Friday Night Magic Standard Tournament from Lost Legion. Games and comics. I don't know why there was a giant pause between this, but there was. Already into the action here on the left, Vinnie Lucente visiting in from Columbus, playing the Rock, the Golgari control deck, which is basically a mono black build splashing for a few green cards such as Scavenging Ooze and Abrupt Decay, as well as Putrefy. Troy King playing it like a, I'd say it's a Bant Aggro. It's a homebrew deck, is what it is.
Bant Aggro deck?
It's a Bant Aggro. As always, on Attack Games, we're joined tonight by Garrett Meadows. And we'll let you know what's going on here. Is there any chance you could do this for a second? I have to go finish that thing with Joe.
So, Vinnie missing on green. Mono Swamps from Vinnie. I'm sure he has a card such as Putrefy or Abrupt Decay in his hand, and he's going to want to fire it off before that Experiment 1 gets up to 3 counters. Or Experiment 1 becomes a 3/3 because then he'll just be able to regen through whatever removal. And Vinnie just making me look like a fool there. Saving all the 1-for-1 removal and just using the Mutilate to take care of the Experiment 1 and Geist Saint Draft. Troy playing a Silverblade Paladin. That would have been good. Had it not been for a Mutilate. Neither player missing a land drop, but Vinnie still not having any green. Does have some foils into card lands. Found it. And be a Desecration Demon. More importantly, we found the green source, though. I'm not sure if Vinnie has a Thragtusk in hand, but I think either way, Desecration Demon is the play of choice. Have some Pilgrim. Troy King notifying of the Soulbond trigger. I'm assuming that these two are paired now. Is this a Rancor? Troy with just 1 green source left if he has multiple green enchantments. So the Rancor is going on the Silverblade Paladin. We'll see if Troy wants to suicide him in. He doesn't look like he wants to. He's going to let Vinnie untap, and you know Vinnie has to have some removal spells in hand. Neither creature on Troy's King going to get sacrificed this turn, so if anyone wants to get 6 damage in, it's pretty free. As Vinnie is drawn a Woodland Cemetery, it seems. On them both green. I don't think he needs double green for anything, but that'll be the murder. Rancor goes back to hand. More importantly, the major threat of damage is down. As we see a Tragic Slip come down on the Pilgrim. And Vinnie not even going to let Troy get an opportunity to sacrifice a creature. Oh, let me scoot over and adjust these life totals here. So Vinnie is at 17, Troy is at 12. 2-turn clock as it stands, and Troy not heavy on the creatures. Even still, even lighter on the flying creatures. So Troy's going to go down to 6. He has multiple draws here that can get him out of this. Doesn't find one. Alright, so Vinnie taking a quick game 1. Both players are going to get to the sideboard. Troy King probably going to bring in some counterspell-esque cards. Not namely cards called counterspell, but cards that do the same job players of the Bant variety are known to bring in anything from a Selesnya Charm, which is not only good at saving your dorky dudes from tragic slips, it takes care of the Thragtusks and Desecration Demons from Vinnie's side. The Cynic Charms, again, saving your dudes from tragic slips, but more importantly, saving your dudes from all other removal spells by making them hexproof. And shoot, why not just go ahead and throw the whole charm cycle in? I doubt Troy's running Azorius Charms, but the plan of sacking a couple dudes to a demon and then charming it to the top of the library is probably a good one. But Troy just definitely looking to out-tempo the removal plays from Vinnie and turn any attempt to destroy one of his creatures into basically a time walk for himself. Well, Vinnie probably going to bring in Golgari Charms. Not only does that deal with enchantments, he probably has Troy pinned on some kind of Bant Aggro deck, as he saw at Rancor, and a Geist of Saint Draft. So that takes care of auras, that takes care of 1/1s, that takes care of Invisible Stalker, and it saves his creatures from any type of Supreme Verdict if he's thinking that Troy is some kind of mid-rangey deck. Other than that, I don't see too much. I don't know if Vinnie actually has a Curse of Death's Hold, or if you want a Curse of Death's Hold in this matchup. I think if you get to 5 mana, you have more proactive things to be doing, as Curse really only kills the 1/1s, not and those are not the important cards in this matchup. The cards that matter are Geist of Saint Draft, Silverblade Paladin, and auras. So if Vinnie had any extra Lilianas in the sideboard, probably going to bring those in. Any kind of Edict effects. We see a Putrefy pop up from Vinnie's deck. But yeah, you gotta like Vinnie's position here. He doesn't have the bonfires that Jund does in this matchup, which really makes the matchup almost one-sided. But he does have a lot of cards that are not seen in a lot of other decks that the Bant hexproof Bant Aggro decks aren't necessarily prepared to handle. And the thought just enters my mind: if Vinnie does side in extra Lilianas, he's got to be concerned of the possibility of a Loxodon Slider. We might get to see a +1 Liliana backfire severely here. We can only hope. We can only hope that sometime during this match, Troy gets a Loxodon Slider for 0 mana. As we do head to Game 2 here, standard quarterfinal action at Lost Legion Games and Comics, as I just basically read the banner on the bottom of the window there. And Garrett, Zach's out jamming some trades. I'm just trying not to mess things up. Better go ahead and move the mouse so we don't get the screensaver. Got that covered. Proud of myself to remember that. Both players examine. Looks like Vinnie slams down a keep. Troy going to shock himself, play a Pilgrim. Eventually. Ooh. Shock himself and play Experiment 1. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Swamp Go. We have a Tragic Slip if Troy has a creature. Voice. Swing 2. I don't know if Voice is a sideboard. I doubt Voice is a sideboard card in Troy's deck. Probably just doesn't have anything. I guess it's a fine main board. I guess it's a fine mainstay against black-green deck. The heads-up play there was we Abrupt Decay before Troy gets a opportunity to have another creature, because if the token enters as a 3/3 or a 4/4, if Troy had follow-up creatures this turn, it would evolve the Experiment 1. But as it stands right now, it's just a 2/2, and the Experiment 1 stays at 2 counters. Yes, Paper Dinosaur Zach has abandoned me. Willfully, I stayed in here. So Troy sharpened himself again, going down to 16. I should probably update these life totals here. Vinnie taking 4 after taking 2 from the first hit of the Experiment 1. Life totals are now 14-16 as we see a Sign of Blood. Take Vinnie down to 12. You may go, he says. Not quite sure what Troy shocked himself for last turn. The 3-mana instant of choice might be a Rootborn Defenses, which would definitely be worth it with that voice token out. So we see a Mutilate get negated. That would be what he shocked himself for. He didn't have the untapped blue source last turn. Vinnie going to be up against it now. It just takes one play. Troy going to play a voice pre-combat. Swing for 5. Let's hope the top of the deck is good for Vinnie. As Troy is left 2 open again. Does he have another negate? Or any sort of counterspell for this Strike Test? Doesn't look like it. Game 5. Hope to stay alive this turn, but we all know that Troy's deck runs Rancors and Silverblade Paladins. And I think all 145 of you that have stayed this late, Deadbridge, that will evolve, and that will grow the Elemental to a 4/4. I really do feel like we're missing some damage with that Voice Resurgence there, but I'm the one sitting in here. We take 3 down to 5. We got Regenerate up on the Experiment 1. Doesn't do anything against Mutilate, though. I think if we attack with the Voice token there, we either get 2 free damage, or we get a block on the Voice token, which would have dropped, or a block on the Voice, which drops Vinnie to 1 and evolves the Experiment 1 post-combat. So not sure what we held back for. Maybe just an oversight, or maybe I'm just oversighting here. Looks like Vinnie did miss the Beast token trigger. We can we didn't miss the life gain trigger. So unfortunate miss there by Vinnie, but these men are in the money part of the tournament now. The person that advances does get higher payouts, so we are we're going to stay in the closet and keep that one to ourselves. What is this card? Is that... I don't know what that card is. They were both 3-0 and drew in. Path to Bravery. So, whenever my guys attack, I gain 1 life for each. We'll put Troy to 18. If he can crush that 20 life mark, all of his dudes will get +1/+1. It's an interesting card to see. I'm assuming that that's a sideboard card. I think it's perfectly fine here, as Vinnie is not one to be doing damage to Troy, and had Troy not shocked himself so aggressively in the early game, that'd just be a glorious anthem right now, but as it stands, he'll probably have to wait till next turn to get its effect. Well, if we have a Gaze of Granite, it's a very dangerous proposition to fire that off, as there will be a voice token left against a beast token on Vinnie's side, and Troy just being 1 mana short of a scavenge on that Deadbridge Goliath. We don't see a regenerate on the experiment one. He just wants to trade that off for the beast token. Drops down to 5 though from the Deadbridge Goliath. Vinnie, I don't know if Vinnie's opting to keep that Deadbridge on the board in fear of the scavenge, or just wanting to get the experiment one off the board if he has some type of destroy effects for the other creatures. Vinnie going to attack Troy down to 15, which is, for all seeable purposes right now, going to keep him off that Path of Bravery buff. As we see a third Thragtusk hit the board. And at some point, he has to run out of them. We attack for 5. We gain 1 life. And if Garrett45 is right in the chat, if that is a Gaze of Granite in Vinnie's hand, it's looking better and better as the game goes on. Mutavault hiding over there in Vinnie's lands is one of the important notes here. More importantly, Troy has 2 Deadbridge Goliaths out, so the effectiveness of sleepers at this point, or removal spells, is getting worse and worse. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 swamps, so we can mutilate away any creatures. And it smells like some kind of board sleepers coming out. Two mana up for Troy. Begs the question if Vinnie should have attacked there. We see a Mutilate come down. Because had that last card in Troy's hand been a negate, we would not want to tap creatures. So Vinnie having no fear of the of any kind of counterspell out of Troy's hand, plays a post-combat or a post-mutilate Scavenging Ooze with Mutavault backup. Mutavault currently bigger than the 1/1 token on Troy's side, but we know that's about to change. Oxidon Smiter, so the trap card has been revealed. And Vinnie will know to play around Oxidon Smiter. I don't think that's good enough reason to board out your Lilianas against the Geist deck, but definitely something Vinnie's got to be concerned with. More importantly, he gets on tap with a Scavenging Ooze here, after doing a lot of work to both his board and Troy's. So, Mutavault, Beast Token, and however big we want to make our Scavenging Ooze. He currently has 3 green sources, if I'm counting correct. Yeah, chat pointing out something very obvious there. The 6 mana should have gone to scavenging onto the voice token while he had the chance. Lifebane Zombie revealing a Temple Garden. We still have the possibility to make a... Well, it just has 2 green sources. Yeah, I was counting that Mutavault as a woodland cemetery, I think. So we can't attack into the Smiter profitably, but we can... we should have... We're giving Troy the opportunity to scavenge as Garrett... Both the Garrett Snyder are on fire. I noticed it first. I'll say that because I have the microphone. The scavenge ability does exile the creature first. So passing the turn there allows Troy to scavenge without response from the Scavenging Ooze. We're saying that he can respond now. He does have 2 green open. He sees it. I think we're discussing that now. I think there might have been some confusion on Vinnie's end about the order of which the cards get exiled. And I think Troy is learning that scavenge is at sorcery speed. I mean, unless you've been playing Balros for the past 3 months, like scavenge is not a mechanic that you're going to be familiar with. Like it's not like lifelink. We double blocked the Smiter there. Troy did gain his 1 life off the Path to Bravery enchant. But just remember, it's much easier to judge from the overhead camera view than what it is from the battlefield. Thalia comes down post-combat. Curious choice of a Thalia being in for this matchup. Against a Tragic Slip deck that runs mainly creatures. So this is a dangerous attack for both players. If Troy goes into this block thinking that he has a 2/2 voice, that's or voice token, that's gonna be one thing. If Vinnie goes into this block thinking that he can shrink the voice token, and Troy has some type of, I think Troy has 1 card in hand. Troy can still make a Selesnya Charm token, or all that speculation is moot, as we just have Chomskis on the Scavenging Ooze. And Troy goes to 3. I'll get over a paper dinosaur. Troy's deck in no way interacts with the graveyard except for the force scavenge creatures he runs. If anything, be concerned for Vinnie's Scavenging Ooze shenanigans. But that would be the shady thing, not the blue-white-green player going to try to manipulate his exiles out in his graveyard. Who do you think's ahead in this board state?
Yeah, what is the thing on the left? Is that Battle Mastery or?
That is a Path of Bravery.
No. Well, from when I walked past him outside, it looked like Vinnie was way ahead because he had all the things, and then Troy had a Thalia.
Well, Troy had a negate for a turn 4 mutilate,
And
I thought that the game was over then, but he just...
But the Rock is basically a Jund deck.
Yeah.
Everything is a 2-for-1.
I assume that he bordered out his enchantments. We saw Rancor there.
They're all just like friends sitting around, just shooting the shit, making a bunch of inside jokes to laugh at each other. Which is exactly why I don't have a podcast, because that's all it would be.
Thanks, Jerry Pasco.
They're limited resources is the only one that I'm very fond of, just from conceptual basis. Because it's laser specific, as Ian calls it. It has a purpose, and that purpose is to make you better at limited. Meanwhile, these guys have finally started playing Magic, so this is the final quarterfinal match. We're waiting on these two guys to finish. They have moved to a game 3 here. Jordan mulling to at least 5, I saw. So he's going to be in a real disadvantage in this battle of resources. Joe's cycling at both halves of Think Twice already.
More importantly, both players still able to flicker their cards in their hand.
Well, luckily Jordan didn't, and Joe is moving to discarding a Sphinx's Revelation.
Yeah, if he didn't hit a land off those 5 of the Think Twices, it goes up to 8 cards. So the battle of resources slowly shifting in Jordan's favor.
Yeah, we know Joe from playing these lands untapped, more than likely has at least a Restoration Angel at this point, or a Syncope at some point. So Restoration Angel is in fact what shows up. Celestial Flare. Did he just play a land after?
Yeah.
I guess Jordan's fine with that. And it doesn't matter at all. But
it would just be the hologram of the stats instead of the Glacial Fortress.
But it is funny. In response, play my lands. Untap, upkeep, draw, combat, land. Second combat. Snapcaster Mage. Going to attempt to cast Celestial Flare here. So does the Snapcaster Mage resolve? That's the question. And I guess this is the age-old question from the control decks. Do you counter the Snapcaster, keep it off of the board, and allow for potential flashback later, or do you counter the flashback spell to get it out of the graveyard? And the answer is the latter.
I think if you're FNM deck, you want that special.
Yeah, Joe is kind of the beatdown in this matchup. Though Jordan is playing Reckoners and doesn't he have Aurelius in this deck or something?
2.
I did, at the end of the last round, there was a gentleman out there who had a Sacred Foundry that I wanted, and I said, hey, I'm interested in that Sacred Foundry. I'll be out at the end of the next round, so save it for me. He said, okay, and then immediately traded it to Jordan. Literally immediately traded it to Jordan. And then when he came back, and I was like, so that Sacred Foundry is 12. He's like, oh, I think I traded that. You think? How could you think you traded that in the last 10 minutes? You either know for goddamn sure you traded it, or you know you didn't have it.
How long were you waiting to tell that story?
Oh, I don't really care. It's not really that big a deal. I just thought it was funny. It just kind of... I forgot that it was Jordan that did it.
Right.
And Jordan doesn't know. It's not like Jordan was... I just think it was funny.
Sniping your trades.
Well, because I literally said, I got to go back to do the stream, but let me see your book to see if there's anything I'm interested in. That way, And I said, well, the only thing I'm interested in is Sacred Foundry. As I said, the only thing I'm interested in. So Snapcaster number 2 comes down, cycles an Azorius Charm just to dig out of this, but Joe having landed a Sphinx's Revelation
Sphinx for 4 and it resolves.
in a pretty good spot. Interesting that Joe's not activating his Moreland Haunt there.
Burning the Helix against the Angel deck seems awkward. Untap Aurelia.
So I guess he's just going to use the Spirits for beatdown here.
I think it better do 4 damage.
I mean, Jordan does have... he only has, 2 cards in his hand, so, I mean, Joe with a full grip could effectively figure he can burn him out here. I mean, Snapcaster Helix is a pretty strong play.
Well, in that case, you want the Helix going towards the dome.
Yeah, he did cast it towards the...
I thought he burned the Snapcaster.
No. The Grizzly Bear's getting in. Jordan just passing back another Helix.
I mean, if the Sphinx's Revelation resolved, you have to assume that Jordan has no counter spells.
Yes. Unless he would have drawn one just there. And it looks like Jordan's hand is a Snapcaster.
This is the ballgame, folks. Shake my hand.
So the double Helix, I guarantee you Joe only plays 2 Helixes in his deck.
Yeah.
Drew both of them. Jordan.
Mulligan to 5, shake my hand.
Mulligan to 5, ultimately beating Jordan. So I'm going to go out here and try to expedite these guys so we can immediately get into the next round.
All right.